You know that feeling, right? You've poured your heart and soul into your garden, and then one day, bam, your prized plants have just toppled over. It is so frustrating. Well, today we're diving into a super simple but really powerful strategy to stop that from ever happening again. We're talking about mastering plant supports. And listen, this isn't about damage control. Nope, this is all about setting your plants up for success right from the get-go.
I mean, we've all been there. That horrible, sinking feeling in your stomach. You've babied a plant for months, it's looking absolutely spectacular, and then one nasty storm. Just one day of wind or heavy rain, and it's a heartbreaking, tangled disaster on the ground. Just awful. But here's the secret. That kind of collapse, it's not just bad luck. It's almost never a random accident. What it really is a preventable structural failure. And the solution, the real key, is all about thinking ahead, being proactive, not panicking after the fact. And that's exactly what we're going to break down today.
Okay, so let's get to the root of the problem. To really solve this, we've got to understand why it's happening in the first place. We're going to shift our whole mindset here, moving away from scrambling to fix a broken plant and toward building a garden that's tough and resilient right from the very start.
You know, it's kind of funny because sometimes the cause is our own success. I mean, that beautiful, lush, vigorous growth we work so hard for, it actually makes the stems, from a physics standpoint, pretty weak. So you add a little wind, a bit of heavy rain, or just the incredible weight of those huge blooms. Think about peonies, and the math just doesn't add up. The whole thing collapses, and a lot of the time it takes its poor neighbors down with it. It's like a domino effect.
Okay, so this right here is probably the most crucial point. It's all about timing. Proactive support, the smart way to do it, goes in early, like when you first put the plant in the ground. This way the plant just grows up through the support, the foliage hides it, and this is the big one. You don't damage the roots. Reactive support, on the other hand, is basically emergency surgery. You're trying to jam a stake into a dense, established root ball. That's a recipe for disaster. You're causing serious trauma to the plant. And here's a super practical detail that makes all the difference. If you're gonna use a stake, you have to really commit. That stake needs to be driven at least 6 to 8 inches deep into the soil. I mean, really anchor it. Anything less than that, and the stake, the plant, and all your hard work are just gonna topple over together in the first strong gust of wind. It's a total waste.
All right, so we get the why now. Let's move on to the fun part, the how. It's time to open up our outdoor support toolkit. And the number one rule here is that there is no one-size-fits-all solution. Not at all. The support you choose absolutely has to match how that specific plant naturally wants to grow.
This little chart is a fantastic cheat sheet. So you've got tall single-stem plants, right? Like a delphinium or even a pepper plant that's just loaded with fruit. A simple single stake is perfect for that. Then you have your bushy, clumping plants. Peonies are the classic example. For those, a growth-through grid is magic. You put it on early, and the stems just grow upright through it, giving you totally invisible support. And of course, for anything that vines, cucumbers, beans, some tomatoes, you need to give it something to climb, like a trellis or a cage.
Tomatoes. Let's talk about the great tomato debate, cage versus stake. The truth is, the right answer really depends on what kind you're growing. If you've got a determinate variety, that's the bushy kind that grows to a certain size and stops, a cage is your best friend, super low maintenance. But if you're growing an indeterminate type, that's the vining one that just keeps going and going, staking is way better. It saves a ton of space. Just be warned, you're signing up for regular duty tying that vine up as it grows.
Now, all these same rules about matching the support to the plant's habit, they totally apply indoors too. But there are some really exciting twists. For all those super popular climbing houseplants, your Monsteras, your Philodendrons, just using a simple stake means you are leaving so much potential on the table. The real secret weapon for these guys is the moss pole.
So to get why moss poles are so special, we got to talk about these things called aerial roots. Now, these little roots aren't just for grabbing on. Think about where these plants live in the wild. They're climbing up giant, moist tree trunks, and they use these aerial roots to latch on and literally absorb water and nutrients right from the bark as they climb.
And this right here is where the magic happens. A plain old bamboo stake is just a stick. It's only structural. But a moss pole, if you keep it moist, becomes a living, breathing, biological extension of the pot. Those aerial roots grow right into the moss, and they start pulling up extra water and nutrients. This sends a signal to the plant's brain telling it, hey, I'm climbing successfully. And that is the trigger that can unlock those huge mature leaves with all the splits and holes we love. It's literally like creating a vertical hydroponic system for your plant.
Now, the biggest challenge with moss pools has always been keeping them wet, right? It's a pain, but modern designs have this absolutely brilliant solution. Enter the D-shaped pole. It's got a solid plastic back, a super simple idea that acts as a barrier, stopping moisture from just evaporating into the air. This one little change dramatically cuts down on how often you have to water it solves the #1 maintenance headache, and it makes it so much easier to get all those amazing benefits we just talked about.
Okay, you've picked out the perfect support. Awesome. But now, how do you actually attach the plant to it? Don't gloss over this part, because this step is absolutely critical. If you do it wrong, you can actually do more harm than good.
First off, the material you use really matters. You need something soft and relatively wide. Think jute twine or those special soft plant ties. What you have to avoid is anything thin and hard, so no wire, no hard plastic zip ties. Why? Because as that plant stem gets thicker, those hard ties don't give. They just cut right into the stem, choking off its supply of water and nutrients. It's called girdling, and it can literally kill your plant.
All right, I'm going to teach you the pro technique right now, and you won't believe how simple it is. It's called the figure-8 loop. Here's what you do. First, you wrap and knot the tie around the stake. Then you cross the tie over itself, making the shape of an 8. Finally, you make a nice loose loop around the plant stem and tie it off. That little crossover in the middle, that's the secret. It creates this perfect buffer zone so the stem never rubs directly against the hard stake. It holds the plant securely but protects it from getting bruised and damaged when the wind blows.
Okay, let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture. A support system, it isn't just some accessory you add on. It's part of a whole way of thinking, of truly understanding what your plants need to thrive. This is what it means to start thinking like a gardener. I absolutely love this idea because it forces us to ask that critical question, why? If you have a plant that's just always floppy and weak, and you find yourself needing to prop it up more and more, well, the problem might not be gravity. It's probably a lack of light. The plant is literally stretching itself thin, getting all long and spindly. It's a process called etiolation, desperately searching for more sun. In a case like that, the stake is just a band-aid. The real cure is moving it to a sunnier spot. So let's just quickly recap the biggest, most common mistakes people make. Number 1, using a stake that's too short. The plant just outgrows it and the top flops right over. Number 2, not anchoring it deep enough. The whole structure just topples in the first storm. And number 3, the one we started with, waiting too late and wrecking the roots. Seriously, if you can just avoid those 3 things, you are going to be in fantastic shape.
And before we finish, here is one last brilliant little tip that just screams, I'm a pro. You know those thin bamboo or metal stakes? When you're bending over in the garden, they can be a serious eye-level hazard. So just take a small, upside-down terracotta pot and pop it right on top. It makes the stake visible, it makes it safe, it's simple, it's effective, and it's just plain smart. So, the next time you're out looking at your garden, I want you to try something. Don't just see plants. See a system of forces, of weight and wind and growth. And then ask yourself this. Are your supports just an afterthought, just a tool you grab to fix a problem? Or are they a deliberate, thoughtful part of your garden's architecture, designed to set your plants up for incredible success right from day one?